Hello guys and welcome to another Ravendawn video. In today's video we're gonna be talking about the fighter build. This is a pure melee AOE build that works wonders, especially after the recent patches where it is much easier to do some AOE grinding. So with that being said, let's get started. Let me show you how it looks, how it performs, and then we can talk about the abilities, the cards, and then finally the rotation. So let's go. So the very first thing is I'm gonna go ahead and do a full pull right now just to give you guys an example of how the build performs, right? So the first thing I'm gonna do is take the some of my buffs, my food, and then we go ahead, deploy the banner, and start the rotation, right? And just like that, we finish the full pool, and we got ourselves a very nice, you know, a chunk of XP right there, 18k. Well, oh, I mean, obviously I have some rested XP at the moment, so that's why we got that. We are currently fighter effective level 52, and the mobs that we are killing are 10 effective levels higher than we are. So if we go higher, I can show you he is a sec effective level 62, and most of them are between that range, right? We're currently over in Hogs, this area right here, and it's a very well-known area for for AOE grinding, right? So with all of that explanation done, let's go ahead and talk about the build, the abilities, the options, and so on and so on. So we moved locations from there so anybody can go ahead and use it and we don't get attacked while we're making the video, right? So let's go ahead and look at the abilities. So for Warfare, we're taking Brutal Strike, Guillotine, Feasting Strike, Blade Storm, Earthquake, and Berserk. Now we're taking Brutal Strike to be able to give us sustain right at the end. If the mobs are hitting you too much, that will help you to stay alive. Then the Guillotine will be to finish off those monsters that are, there at the very end that managed to survive the whole AoE attack combo. Then the Feasting Strike is for the sustain. Blade Storm is again just an AoE ability that also helps. And the same thing with Earthquake, and Berserk is a fantastic ability to use right before you do the massive amount of burst damage because it has its own global cooldown. I will explain it when we talk about the rotations. Moving on to archery, we have Wind Arrow, again to be able to pull mobs from far away that you don't want to walk over to. You just attack them from a distance and pull them closer. Viper Arrow really is just there because it is there because we need a second ability. So if I had to choose between Viper Arrow or Concussive Shot, I will go Viper Arrow. Then Quick Fire because it does great combination with Feasting Strike for that emergency sustain combo. And then our main AoE damage, which will be a Rain of Arrows, comboed with Dragon's Arrow. And then finally, protection, which we're taking Bash, but we're not using it. But very important, we're using Smithing Smash, Blessed Earth, and Shield Throw. Shield Throw is also your, emergency shield that you can use or interrupt. But more importantly, Smithing Smash and Blessed Earth are very important together. And then Provoke, Banner of Protection, Unbreakable, Unchained. And for passives, we're taking Guardian, Divine Purpose, and Undying Will. This combination of the three make us extremely tanky, so that's why we're taking them. And then for archery, we're taking Mark for Death, that basically reduces the enemies by their armor, making it easier for us to kill. And then when in Warfare, we're taking Savagery, Bloodseeker, and Bloodpath. I know that many of you are gonna say, why Savagery? You can actually take a Hatred over Savagery if that's what you would like. I take Savagery because my equipment is actually leather, therefore let's try to take advantage of those critical extractions, right? So this is the abilities. Now I'm going to explain the cards and how these abilities and everything works all together, right? So let's start with the cards. In the cards we're taking on Brutal Strike, we're gonna be taking the Troll card because again it is really or sustain or spam it because your health is low kind of thing. So that's why we're taking it, right? We're tanky, but at the same time this keeps us alive even longer. Then here since we are not really using the other card on Brutal Strike, we are taking the Salto Executioner because it increases the guillotine damage by 80%, weapon damage if the target is 35% or below health, right? So it's the Execute. On the Polar Bird, sorry, the Feasting Strike, we're taking the Polar Bird because it gives us that 48% weapon leech that will work wonders when you are doing your combos, so that will keep you alive. On Blade Storm, again, we're doing AoE, so that's why we are taking the Troll Knight, so we can do even more damage, that bleed effect on all the targets around you, helping you finish them off as well. On Earthquake, we are taking the Dwarf Elementalist because it gives us that second Earthquake with 40% of the damage, yet it's AoE and it's definitely helpful. And finally, Berserk, which is the Goblin Berserk. We're taking it because Berserk duration will double, and you will also get Ether. I mean, it's half of the Ether, but at the same time, your critical damage and haste are increased by 25%. So it's pretty nice card right there. I really, really like it. Even though we don't have a lot of haste or we don't have a lot of critical extractions, nevertheless, they're both increased by 25%. And at the same time, we get that extra Ether. So a little bit of everything adds. Right, as I mentioned earlier, Savagery due to the critical extractions that we have, Bloodseeker due to sustain, and Bloodbath due to sustain as well. On Archery, we are taking Saurian's Monitor in what's the name? In Wind Arrow because it will reduce the cooldown of Quickfire if you were to use Quickfire. Then Viper's Arrow, we take Giant Bee because it, makes the damage over time increase, but again, we're not really using it. Same thing for Quickfire. This is purely an emergency, and we're taking the Quickfire based critical extractions. Is increased by 14% for every critical strike from Quickfire. Gain 4.2 haste and movement speed for 6 seconds. So it's a nice, again, emergency ability. We really don't use it for this whole build. And then the Archery Rain of Arrows ability, we take the Gas Archers card because it makes the enemy burn for 12% of the weapon damage for 5 seconds. So again, it's more AoE damage to everybody who gets hit by the Rain of Arrows. And then Dragon's Arrow, we take the Draconic Crusader because it reduces the enemy's base defense by 8% of your weapon power for 6 seconds. So it's pretty nasty, right? And then we take the Mark for that passive to reduce even their armor further. So that's why we're taking it. Now, more importantly, protection. In protection, we don't use bash, so you can forget about it. But we do use the Smithing Smash because the Smithing Smash increases. Sorry, let me show you the card. It increases the resonance with Blessed Earth. So pretty much Smithing Smash will apply Blessed Resonance to targets hit by it for 10 seconds. Blessed Resonance increases the damage of your Blessed Earth by 30%. So it's huge. So always use your Smithing Smash first before you use your Blessed Earth. Your Blessed Earth, the one that we are taking is Healing. Again, we already have so much sustain, but just in case we get even more. You could actually go with Lava Cap Mushroom because it increases the damage by 21%. So if you take both, you get a massive increase of damage. So if you feel tanky enough to sustain everything, then you can go with Lava Cap Mushroom. Either way, either option is good. I just want to be extra careful, and that's why I go for the sustain. On the throw shield, sorry, the shield throw, I take the shield Minotaur Warden because it gives us that 180% defense power barrier for 8 seconds, which is massive, right? So it's definitely something I want. Then in Provoke, we're taking the Minotaur Champion card because for every enemy affected by Provoke, you gain 9% defense power for 6 seconds up to a maximum of 3 stacks, which is super freaking good. And then for Orc Nightstar, you can take for Banner of Protection, you can take the Orc Nightstar to get that increased extra damage since you have already overwhelming amounts of sustain, or you can just use Warhawk. Either one is actually useful. It will be up to you depending the build and the approach that you choose to take. Then we take what's the name? Unbreakable, and we are taking the Skeleton Pikeman card because we want that healing, especially if you make very intense pulls, like a lot of monsters attacking you at the same time. This will keep you alive long enough to be able to use everything. And in combination of Unbreakable, you're going to be using Unchained right after, and we're taking the Direhorn Drake because it regenerates 1.6% of your maximum health per second while Unchained is active. So again, more sustain. Therefore, longer you stay alive, the more abilities you can use. Now, with that said, let's talk about the rotation. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them on the comment section below, and I will be more than happy to reply. So the rotation works very simple. You want to start with the banner of protection. So you place it on whatever it is that you're gonna fight, and then you immediately use Unbreakable into Unchained, and those two will give you Ether. And then after that, you use Smithing Smash on full Ether, so like 100 Ether. That will reduce it to 50, and then immediately Blessed Earth after. After you use these 4 together, right? And by the way, you always use Unbreakable first, not Unchained. Unbreakable first, because Unchained has its own global cooldown, therefore you can use it at the same time. So we're gonna do the combo here in a moment, but yeah, Unbreakable, Unchained, Smithing Smash into Blessed Earth, and then after this you do Provoke. Provoke will get you more some ether back, and it will make you tankier, and at the same time, right after Provoke, you use Earthquake. After you use Earthquake, immediately you press R on the Greatsword or on your axe, a double-handed axe, which is what I would recommend for this build. I use the Greatsword purely because it looks amazing, and I love the looks. And then I activate Berserk at the same time. Both have their own global cooldown, so they can be both activated at the same time as Earthquake. So do that. And as soon as you activate both of them, you get like a power burst. Your next attack will be very strong. So in that moment, you use Rain of Arrows, and you can use the Dragon's Arrow immediately after. You don't need to wait for the global cooldown. You can actually use the Dragon's Arrow right after you use Rain of Arrows. So with that being said, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna place Banner of Protection, boom, into Unbreakable, into Unchained, into Smithing Smash, into Blessed Earth, into Provoke, there you go, into Earthquake, immediately R and Berserk, there you go, into Rain of Arrows, into Dragon Arrow, and then at the end you finish up with a Blade Storm to finish up the guys who stayed alive. Obviously I didn't, I wasn't even paying attention there. I literally clicked everything with my mouse, so you can see just how successful the pull was. That easy. And at the end, you can use whatever rest abilities that you have to finish off the survivors. That is pretty much it for the build. It's very straightforward. It's very easy, but do know that this build sucks for PvP. It's terrible. You might be tanky. You might have a lot of utility in there. You have no CC. You have no dash. You have nothing. Nothing at all. Even your damage is so spread out, as in AOE. It's not single target. It's super spread out. So if anybody comes to contest, don't even try to fight it. It's better just to switch your build and try to fight it, right? Like that's the only downside with this build. It truly is a shame that is the case. Nevertheless, it is the build. Now, let's talk about the equipment. Now, I am a cheap guy, so I buy everything always leather because it's so cheap. But you can actually take plate. Plate will probably be better and smarter to use. Nevertheless, I try to make it work anyway. So I bought leather with Dexterity, Vitality, and Might. Those were my 3 things that I wanted to get. Dexterity, Vitality, and Might. Right, so I got Dexterity, Vitality on my helmet. And as a secondary attributes, I chose to go for defensive attributes because I wanted to be as tanky as possible to survive the pulls as much as I could. So that's why I went Dexterity, Vitality, 6 weapon defense, and and then the chest, I went Vitality and Might, also spell defense. Then I apologize for that. The third, my legs, weapon defense, and my boots, spell defense. But as you can see, all of them have Vitality and either Dexterity or Might. And then for my runes, I went Might, Dexterity, Might. And then for my my rings, I went for Jim's Personal Treasure, which increases Might and Dexterity by 8. And then I increased my Sigil Fortitude that you get from the Ranger's Company. That increases my Might by 14 and Vitality by 12. And lastly, I took the sword that I have just because it looks amazing. I love the skin and that's why I'm using it. But you can in fact do this build with pretty much any weapon. But I would say the best one that synergizes fantastically with this build would be the two-handed axe. That's definitely the best one. But yeah, this is pretty much the build I'm running. I also got this amulet that is Lost Kingdom amulet that you get it from the Rangers Company store as well. It increases attack power and defense power by 15, which is massive, right? And then Shadakite Fatish that increases your weapon power by 10 instead of, well, you know, when using a melee weapon. And yeah, I think that's it. If you guys have any questions or anything, oh, my stats, yeah, I apologize. My stats mainly might and vitality, and then again a little bit of dexterity and wisdom, because again my weapon give me that wisdom, right? Like it's not really, it's there because of a reason, but your main, you know, focus should be vitality, might, dexterity. You can even see not a lot of it, but yeah, you wanna you wanna be as tanky as you can be, and you wanna hit as hard as you possibly can, right? So that's how we go. If matter of fact, we didn't even took a rune, but if I take that, you can see that we actually reach the weapon power soft cap. But again, like I said earlier, this is not a PvP build. This is a PvE. If you go PvP, there's different ways that you can approach it. You can put snaring shot in there. You can put downs arrows in there instead of taking earthquake. You can take fissure for the stun. You can remove a blade storm and add ball rush to have a little bit more mobility. You can remove shield throw and add concussive shot. There's different ways you can approach it where you can make it viable for both PvP and PvE, right? But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. I am Toto Torres, and it's been a pleasure talking with you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.